Welcome to Chamber Chat. I'm John Terr, President and CEO of the Boulder Chamber, and I'm here today at the beautiful Nature Conservancy facilities, which are just across the street from the Boulder Chamber Center. And we're here today with Carlos Fernández, who is the State Director for Colorado for the Nature Conservancy. And we're going to have a chat about what the Nature Conservancy is doing and why is it relevant? Well, because Earth Day is coming up. So we want to make sure we're all prepared to think about how we can protect our natural environment, just like the Nature Conservancy does. But before I have a chat with Carlos, I'm just going to give you a few announcements from the Boulder Chamber. So first of all, we have our membership orientation coming up. That's on April 21st at 11:30 over the lunchtime hour. And it's a wonderful chance to get together, learn about all the things that the Boulder Chamber is doing to support your business, to make sure you're successful and build our economy up, support our community. But also it's a chance to network with some of your Boulder Chamber members and to introduce your business to them. So make sure that's on April 21st at 11:30. Come on down. Then the second thing, we have a business after hours, and that's the really fun opportunity to get together. It's all about just getting together, having some good times, networking for business to business relationships, and it's going to be at DV8 Distillery, so we're going to lubricate those conversations with a little bit of their liquid courage. It's always fun, beautiful place, and always a great time at those business after hours, and that's on April 21st at 5 p.m. at DV8 Distillery. And then finally, we have our great tradition of the Boulder Chamber Golf Tournament, and that's going to be on May 25th at the beautiful Lake Valley Golf Club. I will only say that that event sells out really quickly. So get online, register your team, and just get out there and have a great time and kick off the springtime. Good golfers, mediocre golfers like me, or whoever, it's just a wonderful time to get out in that beautiful golf course. So that's on May 25th. Register today. Okay, enough from the Boulder Chamber. Now it's our chance to talk to Carlos and just get a sense of what his experience is with the Nature Conservancy, what his vision is for that organization, and to think about Earth Day and how we can all be helpful and responsible around environmental issues. So, Carlos, welcome to Chamber Chat.
Thank you so much. So wonderful to see you. And as a proud, not only neighbor across the street, but as a proud member, the Nature Conservancy or the Boulder Chamber of Commerce, thank you so much for what you and the Boulder Chamber of Commerce do.
Thank you, Carlos.
I look forward to joining you some of those events that you were just mentioning.
Exactly. DV8 Distillery, I'm sure.
For sure.
So let me just ask Carlos, you yourself have a great background in environmental preservation, but I'm just wondering, what was your personal journey to becoming the state director for Colorado?
Yeah, thank you, John, very much. So, as you can tell from my accent, I am not from Colorado. I am originally from Argentina. I was at south of the border, but really, really south of the border.
Yeah, I was going to guess Texas, but okay.
Yeah, a little bit southern, like 8,000 miles away. I joined the Nature Conservancy 19 years ago. And so I am originally from Argentina, joined the Nature Conservancy first as the attorney for the 7 countries in the western part of South America.
Wow.
So I did that out of our headquarters in Arlington, Virginia, from 2003 to 2008.
Wow, and so they recruited you from Argentina?
Correct.
Wow, that's cool.
So I have studied in Washington, D.C. I have done my LLM, what we call a Master's of Law, after obtaining my JD in Argentina, and so that's what I did first. And it was interesting because at that time, even though I am from Argentina, the Nature Conservancy didn't have an Argentina program.
Huh.
So they invited me in 2008 to move back to Argentina to open the program.
Wow.
So I did that based in Patagonia, in a town called Bariloche as well. So similar to Boulder, actually.
Cool.
And so I did that for 6 years, moved back to Argentina, opened the Nature Conservancy program. And it's interesting because actually it has a program between the university in town and CU.
Oh, wow.
And so some CU professors, go to Patagonia to teach, and vice versa. Several of the professors in Bariloche have actually come to Boulder to study the ecotone, the transition between high alpine and grasslands, It's very similar to Colorado and Patagonia, so many similarities.
It's dry, similarly.
Well, it's, that place actually in the foothills of the Andes as well. So the main difference with Boulder is surrounded by 3 natural lakes, and is kind of in the site of the first national park of Latin America and the Caribbean called the Nahuel Huapi National Park. But you talk about forests, you talk about headwaters, you talk about grasslands, all the same in Patagonia, in that town, and in Colorado, which is why my family and I really loved it. And so we moved here in 2015. I have been very lucky to be the state director for the Nature Conservancy in this great state of Colorado for the last 7 years.
Cool. Well, we're so fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
And I just know about many of the things that you are doing in, nationally, but also focused in Colorado. But maybe you can just tell us, what is the vision for the Nature Conservancy, its role in environmental preservation, and what makes it unique from other environmental organizations?
I think it's an excellent question. And just for you and your audience and other members, I want to clarify that for the entire state of Colorado, our main office is here in Boulder, Colorado. So that's really important. The mission for the Nature Conservancy is to conserve the land and waters of which all life depends. And I mention this because this is the last decade. We have 10 years to actually make a difference. From the climate crisis, from the biodiversity crisis, and so thinking about nature for nature's sake, and also the human element, the people connection, it is really, really important. And so our vision for the next few years is, what are the most important areas that we can actually tackle? So clearly climate change is a really important area. We have been very proud at the Nature Conservancy to support from the very beginning the Colorado Climate Plan 1261 that Governor Polis and his team passed in 2019.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful, really important, one of the most ambitious plans in the entire nation. So Colorado as a leader on that, and we're very, we feel honored to be able to do that as well. From the land perspective, we have, last year we turned 55 years for the Nature Conservancy in Colorado. We have been able to preserve 1.5 million acres. But the reality is, we have a very ambitious goal in the next 10 years to really be able to double that by working on 2 areas. One of them is creating buying land when it's absolutely necessary, but also working on conservation easements as well, which is something we have done in the past 55 years. And we don't have time to do small things, so we're focusing on this effort called Southern High Plains, Southeast Colorado, and the 5 surrounding states. 70 million acres in the next 10 years.
Okay, so this is
grasslands conservation.
Small scale.
It's a scale that this time really requires and demands us to work on. And so it's Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, all together protecting 71 million acres of grasslands in the next 10 years. That is at the scale that these days really require and demand us. We have also been working on forest and fire for a long time in Colorado, over 15 years as well. From the science perspective, from the policy perspective, from the on-the-ground perspective. And our goal is, in working with partners as well, to keep prioritizing the front range, the prioritization of what's living in Boulder. We know about the Marshall Fire, the Inca Fire, and in our neighborhood, the very recent Shanahan Ridge as well. And so how to prioritize a front range restoration would be really important. And we're also doing a reforestation of burn scars. And that is a work that we're doing in Summit County. That's a work that we are doing with Calwood outside of Boulder as well. And so enlarging that partnership will be really important. Water, the history of climate change will be written in water. And so the reality is, we launched several years ago the Colorado River Program, which is actually working in the 7 states and 2 countries at that kind of scale. But also 2 years ago, we launched the Yampa River Fund outside of Steamboat Springs, which is a legal and financial mechanism to be able to actually put a revolving fund to always have funds to do not only add more water to the river, but also do riparian work, being able to work as well with the agricultural sector as well, in updating the very old infrastructure work that exists in our state. They are the partners in using 70% of the...
It's beautiful. I mean, so many things you're doing, Carlos, here in the Nature Conservancy. So we're getting to Earth Day, April 22nd, and businesses are starting to think about, well, how do we get involved in addressing many of these environmental issues? How can we partner with the Nature Conservancy in this kind of scale of work? So any thoughts from you on recommendations and maybe a charge to the business community around their support of these kinds of efforts?
It's an excellent question, and I do believe that the business sector has a role, and it's really important. The Nature Conservancy frequently partners with the business sector as well. And one example that I want to give is this partnership we have with the Colorado Forum called the Healthy Colorado Initiative, and we have launched 2 handbooks. One of them is called Green Driving and Green Commuting, and the other one is about green building. This is related to how can we implement together with the business sector the Colorado Climate Plan in advancing best practices. And so now that we are literally returning to the office and the future of work and all these really important discussions, thinking about green commuting would be really important, and handbook can provide a few tips and examples of what other companies are doing.
Yeah.
Same thing for green building. If you are thinking about renovating a building or moving to a new building, it's really important that under our Colorado Climate Plan, some of these areas are one of the top emitters of the greenhouse gases, and so really working on that would be really important.
Yeah.
And a partnership with the business sector would be key.
Yeah.
And so join the Nature Conservancy. We can send you some of the links, nature.org/Colorado. Join us on social media. Let's have a conversation with John about other projects we can potentially work together.
Yeah.
Our planet, Boulder, Colorado, the US, and the planet will need all hands on deck, and we look forward to working with you.
Amen. Yep. So that's a special charge to our business community members as we think about Earth Day and the opportunity to work and partner with organizations like the Nature Conservancy. So we'll make sure to have those links on our website just down below here. And I thank you so much, Carlos, for joining us on Chamber
Thank
Chat. Just such important, and the magnitude of the work is just impressive. So
Thank you for the leadership that you have, that you provide to the business sector, and the partnership with the Nature Conservancy.
Love it, my friend.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
All right, so we'll wrap it there for Chamber Chat, but we'll see you next time on Chamber Chat.